You just gonna stay there? Bingley? What are you doing? Let's see how long this lasts. Okay then. So I have been basically a failure as an author tuber recently because I actually have been working quite a bit, especially the past couple of weeks, on my writing projects, and I have just not recorded anything. I really intended to do some writing vlogs, some little clips. I really wanted this video that you're watching right now to be made up of different clips from different days, as I love to do for most of my writing vlogs, but it just hasn't happened. There are so many reasons for this. Sometimes it's because the days that I get the most done and have like the best writing days or the most interesting writing days, or when I look like crap and I just really don't feel like turning on a camera. Other times I kind of wedge it between, you know, work, between other things, and I just don't have time to also stop and film something. And other times I think I'm just so in my head about what I'm doing. Also, I have distractions like this all the time, but I get so involved in what I'm doing and trying to figure out where I'm going with my projects. So there's actually quite a lot I can talk about in this video. I'm gonna try to make it somewhat snappy. Let's start with the new project, because this is something that I actually recorded a clip to post on my channel last week about, and it's something I've really wanted to update you about because I just kind of, I think I threw in a little comment in a writing vlog and never got back to it in terms of, you know, on my YouTube channel at least. I am working on a new project, but it's not the one I was talking about when I mentioned my new project. I finished the second draft of my Elliana story in February, and that's when I started having beta readers read it. And I decided, instead of immediately jumping into a sequel for that one, because I haven't quite worked out some of the kinks in it and I'm still revising it, I don't want to jump right into a sequel just yet. So I decided what I wanted to do was write another book in the same world, in the same fantasy world, but I wanted different characters, maybe even a slightly different time, a completely different story. So I started brainstorming that one, and I came up with some really interesting characters. I had a few kind of premise ideas that I really liked, and I started trying to outline, trying to brainstorm. That was sometime, I think, in late March when I started that, and I was really hoping I could have a rough outline by April for Nano. That didn't happen. I spent a lot of weeks brainstorming and trying to work out the story, and I really liked some things. I loved some things about my characters. I loved some things about the outline that I was making, but it just wasn't coming together. And I really thought, you know, am I telling the wrong story? Am I going about it wrong? Should I just completely stop and scrap it? Or am I being too hard on myself? Maybe what I have is actually okay, and maybe I just need to kind of roll with it and try to start writing. But I am very much an outliner, and I am learning this more and more. There's even some stuff in revisions of my Elliana story, which was a really solid outline, but there were little things I kind of left out of my outline, and it definitely hurt me in the drafting and the revising. So for my next project, I just really want to take it a step up. Like, I think every one of my projects from here on out, I'm just gonna get one step like more detailed and crazy in my outlines, because I just need it. I find that I write a better story the more I plan ahead of time. So I just kept trying to draft this and trying to make sense of the outline, and every breakthrough that I would have, I would end up going a step or two back the next day or the next writing session, and it just wasn't working. And then I got to a point in May that I thought, you know, actually, flip a switch, this might work. And I got through the outline. I had the entire thing in a sort of rough outline, which was already something, because I was struggling to put the plot together in the second half. And finally I got something to click. So I thought, like, this is gonna be the light bulb moment. It's all gonna come together from here. And that's when I recorded a little clip for my channel that I thought, you know, okay, this is gonna turn it all around. And then it fell apart. Like I said, every time I would get a step forward, I would take a step or two back, and that's just what happened after that. And, you know, I wrote on a high for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden I realized something just wouldn't work. And that was that. It just got to a point where it wasn't worth it anymore. Like, something is not clicking, and I've not gotten rid of any of my notes. I really may go back and write that book, or maybe I'll end up incorporating some elements in another book. But at this point, I'm completely done. The outline wasn't working, and I knew if I was experiencing these problems in the outline, the actual drafting was going to be a disaster if I didn't really feel confident about where I was going. That's when I decided to try another new project, and this one is very, very, very much in the baby stages. I have barely started this. I have started some premise, brainstorming. I haven't gotten to the outline part yet, but I'm starting to figure out the characters that I want to tell the story with, and some of the issues I was experiencing with the other book, things that I just didn't think were gonna work with the tone, with the world and everything. I'm really trying to avoid as I'm plotting this one. So we shall see with that one. I don't really have any updates to give give you yet. The other thing that I want to talk about in this one is revisions of my Elliana story. Of the 3 beta readers that started my book, 2 of them were able to finish it, and they both really enjoyed it, really gave me some amazing feedback to work with, and definitely pointed out some stuff that I needed to rethink and kind of take a new approach to. One of them, without going into too many details because it doesn't really make sense if you don't have the story, obviously, but I don't want to tell you the story because it's in the climax, it's right at the end. I kind of had, I guess let's just say 2 reveals, or not really twists, but kind of reveal twisty, elements in the climactic scenes of the book. And this was something I was a bit iffy about even as I was outlining. It was a little bit the result of having kind of found a hole in the book as I was writing, which is what I'm going back to, the fact that the outline was really well done, but it wasn't maybe as detailed as it should have been because I missed a little hole and then I had to kind of try and fill it in as I was drafting. And I think it ended up being a bit clunkier in the climactic scenes because of this, because I hadn't addressed that one thing properly in my outline, and then it kind of got a little bit, yeah, out of order, I guess, let's just say. That's probably not the best word for it, but it's just what I'm gonna go with because I can't think of a better one because I'm tired. This is why I need this matcha tea. So this was something that I think both of my beta readers struggle with a little bit, and they gave me some really good notes more specifically on what kind of wasn't really making sense or what wasn't hitting them quite right with those reveals. And I realized that basically, again, without giving too many details, I need to just take one out. One is a subplot that just, I think it adds too much complication. And it's because brilliant me decided to add this subplot as I was drafting. I shouldn't do that. I'm an outliner. I gotta plan this stuff a lot better. It sounds like it might change a lot in the story, but actually it really was just a subplot. And it's a subplot that I can keep the threads of and kind of make it into something else that just avoids having that reveal at the end. It actually took me a little bit to come to the conclusion that, I think this is going to be the best thing for the story. And I don't really know yet because I haven't had beta readers read it, but I think it's going to be better. I feel really good about it so far. But I spent a lot of time actually redrafting to try and make one of the reveals happen earlier, and then kind of had 2 different moments when you have different reveals and, find a way to build that into my character arcs in a way that felt organic, and I just couldn't find the right moments. It just felt forced. It felt like, here's a big beat and then here's a big beat in the climax. It just did not work. And I even tried thinking about it with the Save the Cat beats, which is something I'm sort of, testing out with this next project. I really like the idea of at least following a loose structure based on that. But I discovered those after I outlined my Elliana story. So I thought, maybe I could try and think of it in that way, and maybe that will kind of provide a more organic place to put 2 different reveals in the book like this. But I just had so much else that was, I think, really tightly done in my pacing, I hope, that it just felt forced. Eventually I got to the point where I was just thinking about both of the subplots super critically, and I realized not only is the one subplot not necessarily needed to prove what I need to prove with the characters or to have them have the right to finish their arcs in a way, and it's not necessarily for the plot. Necessarily. My brain is really done for today. But also it added a layer of complication that I think just wasn't necessary. I had too many things happening sort of behind the scenes that my character didn't know about, that she finds out at the end, all at once, and it's just too much. It's too complicated, and I don't think readers would have enough time to really mull over each of those and all of their consequences and all the things that they mean. And that when you have a reveal at the end of the book and suddenly something makes sense, stuff from earlier in the book makes sense, and I didn't need 2 reveals to do that. So it just became kind of the result of having a subplot that was too complicated and didn't quite need to be what it was. I can't say it didn't need to be there because I kind of keep a similar subplot in there, but it doesn't have quite the same appearance and the same effects then on my characters. So all of that long, complicated babbling to say that I had 2 reveals basically, and I've made it 1 now. And I think it will improve the story a lot, and I think it will also allow that one reveal to have the impact it needs to have without, unnecessary complications of readers missing the emotional impact. It allows them to process it. It allows my main character to process it properly. It's just so much simpler. So it allows you to actually focus on what matters. I could keep going about my revisions and what I've been doing, but I think I'm gonna wrap this up just for now. I will have more vlogs coming in the future. If you have any questions about my Elliana story, my revisions, or my upcoming work in progress that I will be talking about a lot more, let me know in the comments below. I would love to answer some of your questions in my next vlog. On Instagram as well, I quite often do writing stories and things there. So definitely follow me on Instagram if you want more updates throughout the week. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon in another writing video.